going on, guys? This is Dave from Otaku, and I decided that it's about time that I make like an introduction video. I've been learning Japanese for a little bit now, and I figured I should probably like give a little bit of an introduction as to what I've done and as to what I am currently doing and to what I will be doing in the future. It's a pretty popular concept to make like AJATT update videos. This is going to be very similar to that. And hopefully it'll be able to help people out, and hopefully people will be able to tell me what I can be doing better. But yeah, so just a quick introduction about myself. This is my second YouTube channel. My other one is called Navy Dave. It's not a big YouTube channel. It's got a couple thousand subscribers and like a couple 100,000 views. But I've been able to help a lot of people out with Navy, military related questions. And yeah, so a little bit more about me. I'm almost 30. I started learning Japanese a little bit ago as a real big goal. I'm in the military, so I'm pretty busy. I'm married, no kids, but so I have a really busy schedule. So the traditional, AJATT MIA schedule doesn't unfortunately work for me that well. So this is what I'm going to kind of go over what I've done to kind of alleviate that and to modify it to a busy person's schedule. I joke around and I call it some Japanese some of the time. I hear that a couple other people have been calling it that too, which is funny. It works out pretty well. So cool. Yeah. Well, I guess that's it for me. Let's just jump right in. So January of this year, January 2018, I started learning Japanese for this first time kind of seriously when I was younger. I tried learning Japanese a couple of different times, and it was one of those like start up for a day or two, not know where to begin, and crash and burn. I studied French in high school, and I know barely any French now. But so in January, I just turned 29, and I was like, you know what? I really want to learn a language. It kind of kills me that I'm almost 30 and I don't know a language, and I thought that Japanese would be the easiest one to convince myself to do because I've always liked anime and video games and manga, and I really thought that it would be awesome to be able to consume those materials in the native language. Also, with the military, there is a pretty good possibility that I will be going to Japan in the next couple of years and be there for multiple years. In January, I started doing what a lot of other people do, which is this book right here, Genki, right? So I started doing Genki. I also printed off a workbook to do, a bunch of like the problems and stuff like that. And in about 3, maybe 4 months, at the time I thought I was doing a fairly good job, but looking back, I was probably going pretty slow. I got about 9 chapters in. So I definitely wasn't doing, like a chapter a week like some people would have suggested. And yeah, but I knew maybe 400 or 500 vocabulary words, and I was watching anime, but I was not watching it without subtitles or with Japanese subtitles. And I'll get into that a little bit later into the video. But yeah, basically I got to about chapter 9 in Genki. I learned about 500 vocabulary words, and I understood the grammar that I was using fairly well. I was writing a lot, and I was outputting a lot, which was probably not the best thing. And then me and my wife went to vacation in Japan. Amazing experience. I really loved being there. I was afraid that I wasn't gonna like it as much as it kind of like hyped it up in my mind. But it was honestly awesome. I was there for about 2 weeks. Got to go to Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto, and I got to use the language that I'd learned a lot. So how helpful was that to know, that little language? Honestly, it was very helpful. I had enough to ask where the bathroom was, order food, be able to get basic directions, things like that, and I got to have a couple of really cool broken Japanese, broken English conversations with natives, and it was just a really fun time. Yeah, so when I got back home, I immediately noticed a very, very big deficiency though, and that was kanji. When I was in Japan, I literally could not read anything. I knew how to read katakana and hiragana before I went. I was proficient at them. I was able to sound out words and stuff like that, and in Japan, that just didn't matter. It wasn't enough. Kanji is absolutely necessary if you want to be able to read a single road sign, if you want to be able to get around on the train at all. Like, it's just necessary. Like, you can use Google Maps, and that's a big help, obviously, if anybody's ever been. But yeah, I just realized how essential kanji was going to be, and at that point, I didn't know any kanji. Like, I hadn't even been studying the kanji in the book. I figured I would just start studying them. Once I finished Genki 1, I would learn all the kanjis in that, or that I wouldn't need it. I don't know what I was thinking back then, honestly. So when I got home, or even before I got home, I started using just like a regular Memrise deck that that I'd found. I was using Memrise along with Genki, and yeah, I blew through the whole deck. It was like the 100 most common kanji or something like that, and I was like, this is trash. So then I tried Wanikani. Wanikani had some good aspects to it, had some bad aspects to it, and in the end I got to like level 4 or whatever it was, where you kind of hit that paywall, and I was like, okay, let me do the math. How much is this actually going to cost me? How long will this actually take me to learn all the required like Joyo kanji? And I realized that it was going to be well over a year and cost quite a bit of money, and I was like, there's got to be a better way then. I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars just to learn kanji. So I was like, let me do my research, let me see what's out there, and that's kind of when I started stumbling upon AJATT. I had run into videos by like Matt vs. Japan and Brit vs. Japan, and I had also started running into content by like Nuke Marine, who is kind of like a proponent of AJATT MIA, but like for busy people. He's kind of got his own thing. It's called the Suggested Guide for Japanese Literacy, and I think that's a great program too. And I'm kind of doing a hybrid between those two. So I decided to, I read a bunch of Katsumoto stuff, and I watched a whole bunch of Matt's videos, and I decided, alright, I'm gonna give it a try half-assedly. So I did, and I ended up really liking the next step, which was remembering the kanji, right? So maybe you guys saw my other video. I made a video recently about how I did kanji, and basically I did kanji the traditional way, the way that Matt originally said to do kanji, the way that this book, Remembering the Kanji, told us to originally do kanji. And at this point I did start actually immersing, and I wasn't doing a lot, and it was kind of like a slow curve up, right? So when I started remembering the kanji is kind of like where I'm considering starting my AJATT, cycle. So at this point I would say I'm like a little over 3 months in, maybe 3.5 months in to AJATT. So this is my 3-month update video. Makes sense, right? That'll probably be the title. So I did kanji. You can watch that video if you'd like, with the keyword on the front, kanji on the back. I used a pre-made deck. I know a lot of people don't, or I know Matt didn't love that at the time, but he was like, I get why people would use pre-made decks. At the beginning, I used Heisek stories in the book, and then I started transitioning to using my own stories. And I would use Kanji Kohi to kind of like influence those a little bit, but that wasn't like the biggest. I mostly made them on my own. It's like when I saw the elements, I would just be like, okay, this makes sense, I try it out. If it didn't work in a couple days, I change the stories, and so on and so forth. So with RTK, I think it's important to talk about numbers. My retention rate was really good the whole entire time. I was sitting right around like 90 to 95%, sometimes 96, 97% for most of the deck, and it was great, and I got through all of RTK1. In the beginning, I was doing 15 cards a day, and then I kind of was like, alright, I'm ready for more. I bumped it up to 20 cards a day, and then near the end, maybe the last, I don't know, 400 or 500 kanji, maybe a little bit more than that, I bumped it up to 25 cards a day because I was like, alright, the end is near and I want to get through this shit. And then the very last day, I was like, I need to get this over with. I'm dying on kanji, I'm ready to get done and get on to it. And that's when I just blew through the last like 100 or so, maybe it was like 80 to 100 cards, and I did it all in one night. And not the best idea, not the worst idea, I just wanted to get it done with, and I was over the 2,000 mark, and I was like, so anyways, when I finished kanji, or right before I finished kanji actually, is when Matt kind of updated the MIA world, and when he released his first official MIA video to the non-Patreon crowd. And I'm currently not on his Discord, although I hear that that's a great thing to be on. I just haven't done that yet. I don't think I'm at the point where I need that yet, although I hear he's got a lot of great content. So what I did was he released that video, and I was like, okay, he hasn't led me astray so far. He's been pretty straightforward. I'm gonna keep trying what he's suggesting and do it on my own, and do the best of my ability. And so I picked up the JLPT N5 Tango book, and I provided proof of purchase, which you should do, must do, to be able to get the Anki deck that was created for this. And I got the Anki deck from Nuke Marine, and I've been working on that now. So this book is really great so far. I'm really, really liking it. Excuse me. I mean, I'm not too far in. I'm still sticking to about 25 cards a day. I'm gonna see how that goes. I walked in with about 400 or 500 vocabulary words already and understanding a little bit of basic grammar, but a lot of that slipped while I was doing RTK. Some of the grammar stuck really well, and I've actually learned more grammar while I've been immersing, kind of like by accident through immersion. It's amazing, right? But a lot of like the obscure vocab that I learned from Genki is gone, and I'm sure that some of that will come back. I'm sure that all of that will come back eventually. But yeah, but so far, doing about 25 cards a day, and I'm really, really liking this book. And I'm really, really liking the deck that was set up. The only thing that I'm changing is the sentence cards that they give you in the first chapter or so. I changed them to all have kanji in them, instead of just being, hiragana writing. And that's just because I don't want to lose the kanji that I've been working on. Also, I'm still studying my kanji deck, even though I finished the 2200 RTK1, but I flipped the cards to lazy kanji. My mentality behind this was that, like, okay, I feel fairly proficient at writing the kanji, and I'm sure that might slip if I don't practice writing the kanji down the road and stuff like that, but to make more time for studying other things and getting more immersion, such like that, I decided the lazy kanji route was better for now. And Matt even suggests lazy kanji in the beginning now, from one of his more recent videos, the same video that actually suggests the JLPT Tango book. And yeah, so they're lazy kanji now, and it's making my reviews go a lot faster. Some days with RTK it was 2 hours or more, especially near the end, and now I can get through all my reps in half hour maybe, and then do these new ones in half hour maybe, so probably even less than that. I'm probably spending less than an hour on Anki a day, which is great right now. So much better. I believe Matt suggested that while you're doing the JLPT N5 book to start kind of doing some sentence mining on your own. I haven't quite done that yet, although I think I'm going to start like messing around with a little bit, just so I can start getting comfortable. Maybe doing like 5 new cards a day, making 5 new cards a day or so, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so as far as learning grammar and vocab with this book, I find that it works really well. As Matt said, it really does just introduce a new word every single chapter, or every single sentence, and or a new grammar point. So first sentence I believe was like watashi, and then the second sentence was watashi wa and desu, and you learn watashi and then like desu, and then they'll throw in something new like anata wa tomu desu, like something like that. Part of my accent, I'm sure it's terrible, but yeah, so it's kind of really cool that it's basically built to be I+1 already. It's really kind of perfect for that AJATT MIA mentality. So yeah, as far as immersion, I wish I could do more. I'm not allowed to bring any kind of immersing, at least audio or video immersing tools to work. I'm not allowed to have my phone on me where I work just because of the nature of my job, or any other electronics for that matter. So that's just how it is. But I can bring in manga and books and anything else. So like that's the reason why I got like the hard copy version of this book and not the like the Kindle version, which I know is cheaper, but yeah, it just makes more sense for me to be able to bring in this book and be able to study at work a little bit, or like bring in a manga and try, you know, reading through that a little bit. I will probably also pick up maybe a bilingual or monolingual dictionary soon, so that reading manga, or if I start doing like light novels down the road, starts getting, so I have some kind of way of translating. Just makes life a lot easier. But as far as immersing goes, I've mostly been immersing with like animes and a couple of dramas and dubs. I've been utilizing all the tools that people suggest. Subster SRS is my best friend, especially with the audio ripping tool. The animes I've been listening to and the ones that I would suggest that I find easier is like Pokemon. The first season is really, really easy. They use pretty simple language, and I'm really familiar with the story because I was a huge nerd when I was a kid, and I loved Pokemon and obsessed over it, and so I, to this day, still remember the first season extremely well. And then, what else? Boku no Hero, it's one of my favorite animes anyways, so I went back and watched the first season. I've seen it through a couple of times now for sure, and I also ripped all the audio off. I must have listened to the audio of season 1 at least half a dozen times, probably more, probably a dozen times. Same with Pokemon. I probably listened to the first 12 episodes of Pokemon, you know, multiple times, and every time I listen to it, I really do notice myself picking up more and more and understanding more and more of the story, even just through the audio. I always, while I'm doing my Anki reps, have anime playing in the background. I've stopped doing that for the reps that have to do with this book, just because there's a native audio built into the Anki deck, and it's hard to like listen to anime or watch anime and do your reps and also listen to the audio that's coming through the same computer, so it made sense to stop doing that for that. But what I'm going to start building into my day is more active immersion. So like before I started recording this video, I was actively immersing. I was watching, you know, an anime on Crunchyroll with the subtitles turned off, and yeah, you know, so I probably watch couple episodes a day. Maybe I get in and 2 to 3 episodes, so almost an hour of active immersion, like actually in front of the TV watching something a day, and then I probably get another hour or 2 at least of audio immersion, so like headphones in the ear, listening to something that I've heard before. And as far as passive immersion, I probably don't get too much. Thankfully, my wife is also a pretty big nerd, and she also likes, you know, anime, so we'll watch it together. But with her, I have to watch it with subtitles on. So what I'll try to do is just like try not to read the subtitles, which is hard sometimes. But I do notice that that's still a thing that kind of helps me out a little bit here and there. All right, what about writing and reading? Like I say, I bring manga to work. Yeah. And as far as writing, I'm not getting any writing practice right now. I was writing the kanji the entire time through. I mean, you can look at my notebook. If you see that other video, you can see that I go pretty crazy, but like it's like page after page after page of, you know, kanjis. So I got a lot of writing practice, but as far as like writing sentences, hiragana, katakana, I'm not doing that. I will probably get into that into the future, but so yeah, so that's your grammar, that's your immersion, that's your kanji, that's your writing and your vocab. So those are your main points with language, right? Future goals, I'm shooting for at least basic level fluency. I would say that's my goal. You know, like I said, it's a very good chance that I'm going to be moving to Japan in the next like year and a half, actually. It could be that quick. And when I move there, I'll probably be there for like 2 to 3 years. And I'll be in an area where there's a lot of other Americans, because it'll be with the military. But I want to get as much out of that experience as I possibly can. So I would say that my goals are to be able to speak fluently and listen fluently, at least basic level fluency, if not further than that. I would like to be able to read fairly fluently. I keep joking and say that my goal is to be able to read Harry Potter and just be able to pick up the book and pretty much read it. I know that that's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna be a clean process, but like at the end of this, I don't know if there's ever really an end, but at the end of like my aggressive learning, yeah, you know. And then with writing, I just, you know, I don't ever expect to get to that native level of writing, but just to be able to write, you know, and, you know, once again, maybe that basic level of fluency. But yeah, so this video just hit 20 minutes, so I should really cut it here because I should get back to immersing, and you guys should probably get back to immersing too. But yeah, thank you so much for watching my video. If you guys have any comments about what I could be doing better, I know that like I could be doing more immersing, and that's still my biggest thing that I'm working on. I'm not outputting anymore since I got back from Japan. I've pretty much stopped entirely. But you know, I'm sure there's things that I could be doing better. If you guys have suggestions for good anime or dramas or mangas or whatever, hit me up, let me know. If you guys have any questions about what I've done, or you know, what I think has worked for me at least, please ask. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience, but I hope to have a decent amount, you know, come a year. I am not the type of person to usually give up on things, so I hope that I will be sticking to this for a while, which is why I kind of waited to make my 3-month update video, or make a video at all until I finished RTK to kind of like prove to myself that I was dedicated to this. Anyways, cool. Alright, well, if you guys like the video, please like the video. If you want to see more content like this, then, you know, hit the subscribe button, and that's awesome. And yeah, and I will keep you guys updated. Alright, thanks.